was searching for a frog mold on Amazon, the same one that pretty much everybody uses for Froggy Friday, when I came across this. I think it's meant for chocolate or fondant, and it is an ugly little frog that is so ugly he's seriously cute. So I'm going to see if I can use this with my Aqua Cast Turbo. And there's a major birthday coming up for somebody in my life, and I'm going to make them a plaque that kind of has a punny play on getting old. So let's go and see how I do that. Okay, I don't know how much this is going to take, so I'm just going to say that I think it's 20 mils, and we'll see how it goes. If I need to add up some more, I will, or make up some more, I will. So I've put my cup on my scales and I'm zeroing it. It's in grams, and I've already looked it up on the Elechem website. I'm using Aqua Cast Turbo, so it reckons 26 of the powder, and it said 10. I'm going to do 12 water because I want this to be slightly runnier. Some very tiny pieces in there, so I'm going to try and get 12 grams of water. That'll do. And then I'm going to zero this again. And now I want 26 grams of powder. All right, so I'm going to mix that up. Grab a stick. Yeah. Make sure I get all that powder mixed in. And this is nice and runny. Now, I know that you can use slightly more water for Aqua Cast. It just takes a little longer for it to set. So I'm hoping that's the same to be said for the Aqua Cast Turbo. And as this normally sets within 15 minutes, it'll be interesting to see how long it's going to take because I've used a slightly more water, and actually whether it's going to work at all, we'll find out. This does have some very, very tiny spaces around the toes. So I'll pour this now. And I think I've seriously, it's not even going to be 20 mils, I don't think. Let me get a stick and help this to get into the areas that it needs to. There's lots of little toes and they're very, very thin. Try and help it get into all the areas that it needs to. Some of these are probably going to crack off when I try and demold this, but we'll see. There's lots of tiny little details in this. It's a crusty old frog. Probably only about 10 mils actually. All right. So, as I say, this normally takes 15 minutes. I'm going to give it that time and then I will check to see how the progress is. And we'll see whether this takes longer because it's slightly more liquid. I'm guessing yes. We'll find out how long. So back in a while. Okay, we are just coming up to 15 minutes and I think you can see it is still very wet. I touch it. It is actually pretty solid. It's almost like there's a tiny bit of liquid on the top, but it is mostly solid, and then there's like a layer of liquid, milky liquid on the top. So it is, I think, going to still dry very much quicker than the other one, or cure rather, very much quicker than the other one. But I will keep monitoring it and I'll let you know when I'm ready to demold and what time that is. It's been half an hour and you can see now that the back has dried up. It still feels a little damp to the touch, so I am going to leave this for a little bit longer just because of these tiny areas down here. I'm not in a hurry. I want to make sure I try and get this out as much in one piece as possible. So I'm going to leave this for a good hour. I don't think it's necessary if this was a chunkier mold, even though I had done it, you can see here, even though I had made this much more dilute or fluid than it should be, I think you still would be able to demold that probably within 20 minutes. So yeah, brilliant. It's not particularly warm in my craft room. In a warm room, I think it really wouldn't have made that much difference. So love this stuff. Anyway, back when I'm ready to demold. Okay, it's been a little bit more than an hour. I had my Cricut machine running, so I had to wait for that to finish. So I'm going to try and get him out now. And I know I've already broken these little tiny toes when I was moving the mold. Looks like I've broken all 3 of those. Some of those won't be a problem. I don't intend to put all of the frog on there. I can always try and glue them back on if I do want them. Okay. Oh, he's so ugly. I think he's so ugly. He's cute. Okay, let me see if I can get these toes out. And as I say, I might not bother with those. I mean, they are ridiculously thin. But yeah, I'm going to put him on a round coaster. So I think it's possible I won't actually need these. I might need some of them. But anyway, we'll see. Ugh. I don't think that even wants to fit properly. Maybe that one doesn't go there. Maybe that's not a toe at all. Yeah, there we go. And that one, I don't even know. Yeah. Okay. So I think I'm going to probably dispose of those. And I might even cut some of those off. I don't know. We'll see. But what I am going to do is I have a coaster which messed up. I did not like the image and I tried to sand it off and it just wasn't happening. And that's fine. What I'll do is I'm going to put a sticker in the inside of this, and this will be the back of my coaster. I'll repaint the edge, and I'm sanding the other side. This is the side I'm going to use, and I want to put my little frog over here. I'm thinking, like I say, if I put him right down here, that gives me plenty of room for my message. And yeah, so he needs to dry now before I can paint him. And yeah, I'll be back. Him, her, I don't know. Anyway, back when I'm ready to do some painting. Okay, the frog is dry and is ready for painting. I've just trimmed some of the toes a little bit. And yeah, this is where he's going to be placed. I've decided it is a he. Before I paint him, I'm going to varnish this coaster, and then I will glue him to the varnish coaster. What I've also done is I've put him in place where I want him to be, and I've taken a photo using my iPhone, which is what I'm filming on now, and that will allow me to find out how much room I've got to place my text. So I'm going to import that photo, and that just gives me an idea of how I can arrange my text because I know where he's going to be. So let me pop him to the side, and I'm just going to use some acrylic varnish, and I'll apply that to my coaster with my favorite tool. And then leave this to dry, which shouldn't take long, about 15 minutes or so. And then I'm probably going to give it another coat I am going to be putting vinyl lettering on here, so that's why it does need to be nice and smooth and glossy. Okay. So I'll set that off to the side, and then I can sort the sides and the back out later. Put that over there. And give my hands a wipe. Now I'm going to use some watercolours to paint this. So let me grab my brushes and my water and I'll be right back. Okay, I've got my paints. I've got some green, yellow, and I've got a gold. So I'm just going to activate them by putting some water on the surface, and then that can soak in. So I'm going to start with the yellow. I'm going to keep it quite watery and just give him a coat of yellow paint, just a wash of it. I do like the way that this Aqua Cast Turbo paints. It works just as well as the Aqua Cast itself. I can't fault it, to be honest with you. Okay, nice yellow frog. Right, let's add some more colour. I'm going to bring in some green. Start using that around the legs, on his toes. I like using watercolour. I like the way that it sort of pulls in all the shapes, and that just gives it dimension, and all you've done is just stroke the brush over the surface. You get a pretty good effect for very little work. Right, I'm going to water that like crazy. Just add a little bit of colour up there. And his head. Sorry, I'm forgetting to talk, but you can see what I'm doing. I'm just painting him and I'm really enjoying it. So, okay. Oh, didn't really mean to do that. Let's see if I can get that out. I might colour those red anyway. So, there you go. I think that's probably enough. I'm just going to flick that, hopefully. Okay, so now I just need to leave this to dry. And again, that won't take very long. I'm going to put it in the sunshine. And then I'll be ready to glue him onto the surface. Well, I think I'll varnish him first, then glue him onto the surface. So back when I'm ready. I took a picture of the frog in place on the coaster, and I'm going to bring that into Cricut Design Space because I want to work out how much space I've got and make a template of my lettering before I cut it. So I'm bringing my picture in, and once it's uploaded I'm going to save it as a flat graphic, and it'll ask me to choose the name, etc. I don't really want to do that. I'm not bothered because I'm not going to keep this. This is temporary. Once it loads in, it's going to be really, really huge. So I'm just going to resize it, and I'm going to turn it round because the pictures come in on its side. So how do I know I've got the right size for my picture? Well, I'm going to bring on a circle because that's the template of my coaster. And I'll change that to a guide, and I've measured my coaster and it was 11.2 centimeters across. So that's how I've the size I've made my circle. Now I can just resize my picture so that it's roughly the same size, or at least the circle in there picture is the same size as my guide. Now I know where I can place my letters. I'm going to place them around the frog. So I'll bring in some text and I'll resize it, type what I want, choose the font and just arrange it around in a position I want. Once I've got everything the way I want it to be, I'm just going to attach it, and then I'll go ahead and cut this out of vinyl. For those of you who are wondering, no, that's not a typo. I really did mean to put "don't forget." Obviously, it's a Froggy Friday. I painted the eyes off camera because I'd forgotten to do that. So I gave him red and black watercolour eyes, and then a little bit of white acrylic just to give the highlight. Now I'm giving him a coat of acrylic varnish, and I hadn't let the black dry completely, so I managed to pick up a little bit of it. So it's kind of given him an antique-y look on the head, but it's okay. It's not too bad. I think it actually highlights all the little divots on his head. So I'll let that dry. And I've left this in so that I can show you something that happened. It hasn't happened to me before. I am transferring some vinyl decal onto my varnished coaster, and I'm using the Cricut transfer tape. Oh, can you see what's happening? It looks like the varnish is trying to come up. I did not expect that. That was watered down varnish as well. Holy moly! Well, that's annoying. Rats. Looks like I'm going to have to do that again. Okay, we're going to try this again. I've given this a couple of coats of much more dilute acrylic varnish, and I'm going to try using it's a masking tape transfer, which is a lot less. That was a Cricut transfer tape which I was using before, and that is quite aggressive. So I'm going to see if I can get these letters to transfer on here, and then I'll put them onto my coaster. So I started peeling it off, and lo and behold, it was happening again. The acrylic varnish was peeling off of the coaster. This coaster was completely and utterly dry. It had been dry for weeks. I decided I was just going to persist anyway, and I needed to glue my frog on, and then I'll give this a coat of several coats of varnish afterwards. So I'm going to use some B7000 and glue the frog in place. The same varnish is on the frog and it's completely fine, so I don't know what it is about this coaster. The glue needs to set now anyway, and once that's done I can decide whether I want to carry on coating it with some more acrylic varnish or maybe some resin just to seal it. Either way, I need to stick a sticker on the back to cover up that mess, but I think this is stinking cute. I love this little frog. And if you like frogs, there'll be a whole playlist full of them. This is Froggy Friday, which is arranged by Girl in the Garage, Karen from the Dragon's Cave, Loula, Nerd Goblin, and Gert from Gert Creates. Lots of other people, too many to mention, will be in the playlist, so you'll find that in the description box. Please take a look at everybody's content. It's really, really fun stuff that they do. If you like this, give me a thumbs up and come back and see what I'm going to make next time. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. It's free and it will help my channel immensely. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.